Get your win at WallaceWins.com.
What time is it? It's time for the WallaceWins.com podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 16. We have a special guest in studio today, my friend, colleague, the one, the only, Allen Sliwa. Welcome.
What is going on? Episode 16, you're cranking these out here.
Listen, I want to get into it with you, but first I got to give a little intro. Allen Sliwa is with us in studio today. He is the host of his live YouTube show daily, The Sliwa Show, on his channel Hoops Talk. Allen studied communication and journalism at San Diego State University. While there, did an internship at a local sports radio station in San Diego. Eventually opened up the doors to getting into the industry. Spent about 5 years at a radio station down there and then moved up to LA and worked for many years at 710 ESPN radio, having a daily radio show, doing Lakers postgame. And more recently, within the last 6 months or so, have branched off on your own to start your own YouTube community, your YouTube channel, grow your channel. And you have a daily show called The Sliwa Show, as well as, post-game live Laker shows after most every Laker game. Also recently, the Wallace firm became a partner of The Sliwa Show, and we're happy to support you. And we're really thrilled that you're in studio today to join us. So welcome, Allen.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here. This will be, the table's turned here a little bit.
I know.
Here I am now getting interviewed.
I love it.
This is, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to be here. Got a chance to do my show from here this morning. So great little setup you guys got here. I might have to sneak in here every once in a while and crank out a couple of shows.
You're more than welcome to, and look forward to having you on future occasions. Look forward to getting into it with you this morning and chopping it up a little. But before we do, for anyone that's familiar with our podcast, before we do anything with any of our guests, we have to start out with rapid fire. All right, we got a rapid fire.
All right, a little rapid fire
So
action.
You know the rules. I'm going to rapidly fire questions at you, and you're going to rapidly answer. Just top of mind, whatever comes to mind. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Go-to coffee order?
Black coffee with any kind of milk. I don't care. Any kind of milk. You put just a little bit of milk in there, I'm good to go.
I know it's a sore subject for you right now because you're 2 weeks without coffee for Lent, but it gives you something to look forward to.
Oh man, yeah, I'm surviving. Here's my problem with coffee. Sometimes I do coffee, it's just a routine. Morning, I gotta have it, but in the afternoon, I could just be sitting around. I'm like, I'm gonna make a cup of coffee.
Right.
I'm a coffee guy. I like coffee. Probably about 2 cups a day.
Biggest pet peeve?
Rude people. Little things. Doesn't have to be much. There's just little things that you can do during the day that either bring somebody up or take somebody down. Yeah, rude people. Not good with that.
Coolest place you've ever been?
Tanzania. I did a trip out in Tanzania probably about 5 years ago or so. Did the whole safari out there. Got a chance to kind of ingrain into a specific community. Moshi was the city that I was in. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to have an experience like that again.
Best sport to watch?
Football. My favorite sport is basketball. The best sport to watch is football.
Best sport to play?
Basketball. Yeah, I love me some basketball.
Movie you've seen more than any other?
Godfather 1. If it's on tonight, I'll watch it. I don't care. By the way, there's commercials interrupting it. I'll still watch it.
Go-to favorite cuisine?
I've said this before. I could have this every day of the week and be okay with it. Give me just rice, vegetables, and chicken, some soy sauce on top of it. Just that Asian bowl. You got a lot of spots now that you can kind of go into. It's a little kind of quick and healthy as well. Make it at home and not that hard to make.
Most peaceful time of the day when you're not sleeping?
I like that 1 or 2 hours before it gets dark. I don't know what it is about that time of the day. Obviously now it's going to get darker a little bit later. For some reason, there's just this like zen to that time of the day that I like. I like being outdoor during those times of the day.
Coolest event you've ever attended?
A concert that I went to because it was 2 of my favorite artists and it was an outdoor venue that it was at. So I think that kind of all goes together. Damian Marley and Nas. So it was like a mixture of I love reggae, I love hip hop.
Best city you've ever lived in?
San Diego is home. So San Diego.
Best compliment you've ever received?
People respecting my work. I think that you don't need any more than that. But I think somebody that just respects what you do, I'm good to go there.
And this is going to be an interesting one for this guest. Most famous person you've ever met?
I'll tell you my favorite famous person I've met, Magic. Magic Johnson was my idol growing up.
Can't be more famous than that. Favorite activity outside of work?
Hiking or camping. I know they're a little random here, but they get you outdoors, kind of get you away from all the environment, get you away from your phone. You don't have internet access. You don't have any of that stuff.
What are you listening to right now?
So it's going to be one of two things. There's either reggae music, which is my go-to when it comes to music. But if I go outside of that, a couple business books that I'm listening to, people starting their own business, a lot of that just on YouTube where you can search. So I'm just kind of find myself in that world.
Window or aisle seat?
Aisle seat. Used to be a window guy. Now all of a sudden I want the option of not bothering others to go as I please.
First job you ever had?
Kennedy Recreation Center in El Cajon, where I used to play as a kid growing up. I used to play basketball there, football there, all that stuff. My first job at 16 was at the rec center.
Play by play for the rec league?
No, they had me in the grind, rolling up my sleeves, trying to come up with game plans of how to beat the other rec centers.
Oh, coaching.
Oh yeah, I was coaching.
Love it. What's something people don't know about you?
I like real estate. I own some real estate, and that's kind of like a complete side portion of my life that I'm in.
Best piece of career advice you've ever received?
I think it's going to kind of sound very, what's the best way I can put it? Maybe common, but truly, try to find something that you love doing. If you don't like doing it, that doesn't sound like a fun task. It wasn't about money, this, that, or any of that stuff. It was find something you like doing. Money's going to come.
And that has been Rapid Fire. That was a good one.
I like that.
Yeah. Although after this, I might have to rename it like semi-rapid fire.
Yeah, it was a long one.
No, but
I had to give you're right.
You want to have...
That's the radio side of me. It's like I look at the clock and I'm like, you still have 15 minutes before a commercial break?
We'll cut it down and make it look a little bit more rapid, I think, for the reels. What do you think?
I like that. Yeah, so it's funny. I thought about this for the show, and I think I'm going to steal a little something from you. I was thinking about doing like a 24-second shot clock.
I like that.
And at the end of the show, whatever the guest, it could be about anything, kind of like this. But it's a good idea to like, all right, we got a quick shot clock that we got to get into 24 seconds.
I love it.
Throw the comments.
And by the way, like we didn't invent it. I stole it from someone else.
No, I think you invented it. I think rapid fire started here.
I actually, I have a copyright on it. No, I'm kidding.
Sure. I would believe you.
But no, it's always a good way to get warmed up. Obviously someone coming from your background, having so much experience being on the air, being on radio, probably don't need as much warm up as some of our other guests. But, your journey has been a unique one, certainly over the last little while here, starting your own daily live YouTube show. Talk to us. Tell me what so far, and it's been 4 to 6 months or so that you've been doing this. What's been the most rewarding part to you of starting your own daily live YouTube show?
So it's kind of funny. I think it ties a little bit in. If you asked me when I was on radio, what was the most rewarding, I would tell you when somebody would call in and they would say, Slee, really enjoy listening to you talk about whatever it is. You get me through the day, or I know that you're on at this time and I try to kind of set up my day to listen to you. Really? Okay. It almost kind of surprises you when you hear it. I think with YouTube, there's a similarity in the sense that all these platforms are not that much different. But when I see in the comments, if I'm wrapping up a show and I'm like, hey guys, what a great week. Thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate it. And somebody can just simply put something. So I really enjoyed the show today. Hey, I'm listening from Australia. Look what time it is here, and I'm still listening to you. Or I'm in a different part of the world, and I'm enjoying what you're putting together. I think that to me, it's the simple things like that. I don't really, for me, I think if you try to do the best you can in whatever field that you're in, but if somebody appreciates it, respects it, likes what you're doing, that's all you're looking for. That to me is, I've said this before, that fuels me a little bit. It's like,
Sure.
Okay, hey, you feel like maybe this vision that you have, maybe there's something there.
Yeah. I imagine too, like in the live YouTube context, even more so than the radio context, you're able to get that like live, raw, immediate feedback, where you got the live comments of your subscribers and listeners and followers where they're not only commenting and giving you that feedback, but it's pertaining to the topic that you're discussing at the time. And it's all, kind of organically related. And you have a very loyal, active community of subscribers and followers and listeners, and your audience is pretty loyal and they're active on the chat during your live. What's that like for you, just to see that the comment stream going on while you're live every day?
Yeah, it's funny. I think there's, you got a lot of people that show up every single day, and then you get somebody new that comes on, or somebody becomes a new member. And there's current members that are telling the new members, hey, welcome to the channel. Thank you for supporting. It's like I don't even know what's going on. It's like they're their own community within the community. And I'm just kind of, I guess, quarterbacking the entire thing. What's it like when the comments are coming in? First off, it's kind of funny because sometimes they're all over the place. The comments are, I'm like, yeah, I can't read that, but I'm laughing at whatever that is.
Right,
or, you have somebody come in. This is the beautiful world of the internet. Somebody come in and just offer nothing to the channel and just wants to maybe jack up the community in a sense. And I've said this to people in the chat before. I'm like, I don't want to police this thing. You guys police it. Like, you guys figure it out. Like, I kind of like that. But I think for me, the thing that maybe stands out the most is just they're active. The show is at least an hour long. They're involved. They want to give their opinion, their thought. They help the show. Like there's a big part of it as well. If I got a topic that I'm getting into, I'm trying to present a question that will allow people to say, I'm on that side or I'm on this side. I really try to encourage, I don't care what your opinion is, just give me your thoughts.
Yeah.
Give me an honest, true opinion. So I might have 6 topics lined up for the show, but the comments got me going in a direction I didn't think I was going to go in. And that's when I think it's the best show that I can have, is because people are engaged and there's topics that are going on there that I actually end up taking as the show goes.
Right.
So I think that's kind of an interesting portion of the chat.
Definitely.
You're right. It's very immediate. Very immediate. It's a big difference.
On the flip side, what's been one of the more challenging aspects of starting your own daily live YouTube show?
It's the first time I've ever run my own business from top to bottom. And you want to learn everything in the beginning, you can't. That's not possible. Obviously the mindset of, I have a check that I know is coming in every single month when I was at ESPN, or I was at Mighty 1094, or I was at Kennedy Rec Center, right? Like when you work for a company,
right,
I know what's coming in every month. I got no idea what's coming in every month doing what I'm doing. So I think the biggest challenge is you want to grow, you want to do it. You wish you could skip steps along the way. It's not possible. You cannot skip steps. And I think just kind of adjusting to this new life of, you know what, I'm not sure what's going to come in, and being okay with that, and adjusting your life of, all right, well, that's okay if it's X amount of dollars. How are you going to spend it is more important. How are you going to put, more money back into the business? And I think also just kind of being on an island of your own.
Right.
I think all of this is very, very important, because I think a year from now, I'll look back and say, well, that was great that I had to go through this to get to this.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about from a financial perspective. I'm talking, I think, more of a production perspective.
Sure.
And kind of what the channel, the vision of the channel, what will it be down the road versus what it is today.
Right.
But definitely the biggest challenge is you're figuring out stuff on your own. You're on your own island. And then you got to also get comfortable with, I don't know what's going to come in every month. And that part of it, you got to juggle.
Right. Because in a way, if you break down, what you're doing on a daily basis with your YouTube channel and the type of content that you're putting out, it's not all that much different from the type of content you were putting out over the radio for nearly a decade.
Very similar.
But when you add the layers that you just talked about on top, which is I'm my own thing, it's my business, I have to worry about the financial components of it, the production value, the booking the guests that are going to come onto my show, creating all the graphics and topic, all the kind of behind the scenes production and planning and strategy. The partnerships. Whereas, potentially before where you're more so just kind of walking into the booth, certainly there's prep and all that stuff that goes into it, but there's that extra layer of being responsible for the business at large. I think that, to your point, would be challenging for anyone making that transition. Are you happy that you're doing what you're doing?
It's funny. So I've been asked that question before. And if I could rewind, because I was in a position where I could have kept going at ESPN LA. I think my background and my knowledge in sports talk radio, my experience, for those who didn't know or don't know, I was on the business side for 10 years at 710 ESPN. So I kind of had a very unique seat there. I wanted to be on air, but I also had a great background on the business side. And not everybody maybe has that. So I felt like I was definitely a really good asset for that radio station. If I can go back 8 months ago and I'm back in the position I was and I'm getting ready to make a decision. Hey, do you want to continue doing what you're doing exactly as it is? Or you want to, go out on your own? I have literally no regrets. And I don't say that just to say it. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And there is kind of a certain comfort with that. Sometimes I don't even know where the comfort comes from, but there is no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. This is exactly how I'm supposed to be doing it. And let me just kind of add this whole new knowledge that I didn't have before. I don't want to say I was stagnant what I was doing, but I could have kept doing what I was doing, and you're almost kind of starting to get in the mode where it's like, I can almost do this in my sleep.
Right.
I know how to prep. I know how to get ready for shows. I know how to be an asset from a business perspective and, clients and things along those lines. I jumped into a world that is completely different. And I am on my own. And I think that will benefit me a lot more than if I just kept doing exactly what I was doing.
Totally agree. Having been running your show now, how long has it been?
So I started October 1st.
Okay.
Now I had the channel before and I would do a lot of Laker post-game stuff on there.
Right.
But doing Monday through Friday and basically reliant 100% on the channel since October 1st.
Got it. So during that time, since you started, you've had some cool guests on already. I saw James Worthy.
Worthy, not yet.
No, I'm sorry. Michael Thompson.
It's on my MT. Yep.
MT's been on. You've had Jovan.
Jovan Buha.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You've had
a lot of the local
Kobe, the beat writer.
Kobe Price.
Is he with The Athletic?
He is with SoCal News Group.
Okay, SoCal News Group.
And then Jovan Buha is part of The Athletic.
Right.
Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation,
Sure.
Dan Wyke of the LA Times, Brad Turner, a few of the folks, Chris McGee, who Geeter from Spectrum Sportsnet.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You had just this morning's show, you had Brad Wallace.
At Brad Wallace.
Which was definitely a standout guest. But all jokes aside, who are some of the guys or gals that are on your dream list of guests that you hope to line up in the near future and long term?
You said the first one, James Worthy. I think Worthy is. I got so much respect for what he does, what he was as a player, but what he is now as a commentator. He's just phenomenal. I just love how he does it, what he does. He's definitely one. I mentioned the name, earlier, Magic. Magic for so many more reasons than just to talk about the Lakers. Everything Magic has touched seems like it turns to gold. And the latest one is the Washington Commanders. Right? I think I'd love to talk to him about just life outside of basketball.
Right.
And what are some of his principles that makes him so successful? I think we could all kind of learn a little bit from that perspective. Somebody that I had a relationship back in the days with that I think is just a brilliant, brilliant mind. I was always a big fan of Max Kellerman.
Yeah.
Max I was a huge fan of. And I had Marcellus. It's funny. I had Marcellus Wiley on. This was about a month ago or so. And I was just kind of like trying to push him. I'm like, so you and Max going to be doing stuff down the road? They were brilliant when they were together. But
yeah, Max and Marcellus was an all-time classic show on LA radio for years.
Yep. And Kellerman is just it's a brilliant mind. He's got an interesting story. Those are a few that come to mind. Jeannie obviously would be a great one. And some of these, listen, I used to have when I was on radio, but it's a different world. That's what's kind of unique and fun about what I'm doing now. It's not the same thing. And, it's one thing to tell somebody, hey, I work for ESPN. That's different.
Right.
I don't say that anymore. Right. Now it's like, that's a chapter of my life that's not there, or it's not current. So that part of the adaptation is interesting. I'll give you a quick story. When I just got started, when I was going to go full time, I had reached out to some people that I know, specifically from the public relations department, from the Lakers. And I really had no idea what to expect. I'm like, okay, here I am. I've been credentialed with the Lakers for 15 years, literally since I was in sales over there. I've got a credential, and whether I was there entertaining clients or I was there covering the team for the last 8 years of my career at 710, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. They could easily be like, you don't work there anymore, so we're not going to credential you.
Right.
That didn't happen. And I think some of the relationships that I've been able to build, trust that I've been able to build, I think that part is kind of a fascinating part of what I'm doing today.
What did that tell you about the Lakers organization, that they continue to credential you now that you're doing your own thing independently, separate and apart from 710 ESPN?
I think they trusted and respected my work. And that's all I can ask for. I really think that's all it said. I think that they said, and here's the beauty when I was on radio and I was doing so much coverage of the Lakers, I said whatever I wanted to say, and nobody told me, hey, you shouldn't say that or this or that, whatever the case is.
And just for our listeners, what does it mean to have credentials for the Lakers? Like, what does that give you access to? What are you able to do that someone off the street who's standing outside crypto.com arena wouldn't be able to do?
You can cover the team, and I'll give you an example. So tonight, Lakers got Denver, and whenever this comes out, but they got the Nuggets tonight. So I'll be able to go to the game. I'll get my credential when I'm down there. It's a daily credential. And I want to go listen to JJ Redick talk before the game in front of the media. I can go listen to that. I want to ask a question to JJ Redick. I can ask a question to JJ Redick. Michael Malone before the game starts, kind of get a Nuggets perspective. Cool. I'll be able to do that as well.
Couldn't pay me to interview him.
Michael Malone? I know. A lot of Lake fans feel a certain way about Michael Malone.
Yeah. I mean, he might be a great coach, but to me, he's just a fake gangster.
Could be that too. It's funny, and I'll go back to that. I think
let this go viral so he can be your next guest to tell you why he's not a fake gangster.
I think he's had, and probably there's a lot of teams and franchises out there that have always wanted to not just win, but beat the Lakers in the process.
Oh, yeah.
So you can imagine how far his chest was sticking out when they beat the Lakers to get to the NBA Finals and then win an NBA championship.
Sure.
And in his parade, he's still talking about the Lakers.
Yeah, when you're talking about the Lakers during your own championship parade.
Which you didn't have to beat the Lakers to win the championship. You beat the Lakers a round earlier.
Right.
They were still on your mind. But I think there's a lot of franchises that think that way about the Lakers.
Yeah.
So I think for him, the more he does that, the more his audience and Denver and other, whatever it is, they're like, I obviously he's feeding into the narrative, but he also created this personal vendetta against the Lakers that I don't even think Laker fans ever felt against Denver felt against them.
He was also one of the guys that was overly complimentary of Darvin Ham and was probably secretly praying that the Lakers kept him as the coach. Of
course he was.
Because I think it was a little bit of an easier task to game plan against Darvin Ham than it will be against JJ Redick.
I agree with that.
Especially since Redick was quoted as saying he stayed up for like 2 days game planning that Denver game and they went in there and mopped up on him.
What was that game? Jokic shot 7 shots or something along those lines. But I don't think it's that uncommon. It would be, it's the equivalent of, think of the Patriots, think of there's just certain franchises out there.
Right.
It's like it means a little bit more to them. So I see where he's coming from. Let's just put it that way.
So you get into the arena, you get credentialed, and then you have access to the different press areas and interviews and, you're part of the media contingent.
45 minutes before the game starts, we get a chance to go into the locker room if we want to go in the locker room, and any casual conversations you want to have with a player. And it's up to the player if they want to have the conversation or not. Post game, go into the locker room if you'd like. Now, I don't go in there because I like doing my post game right after the game starts. Tonight, for example, I'll do it from the arena right after the game ends. So, that kind of access it's gold.
Yeah.
That credibility, for me to tell the channel, like, there's more to this than just what I'm doing. And frankly, whether I did it or not today, I know that I was a part of the Lakers radio broadcast for 5 years with ESPN. I know I had a show called Lakers Talk for 8 years. But to go back to what you said, what does it mean when the Lakers allow you to still do this? I think there's a trust there. I think there's we know he's going to be fair. Like there's no, alternative narrative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
there's none of that.
Also, I just think it says a lot about the Lakers organization that they are willing to make decisions on credentials based on merit and not based on affiliation. Obviously you had the credentials when you were with 710 ESPN and they have a radio partnership with the team, and they're the, radio broadcast partner. But once you've established, to your point, some level of trust with the organization, it shows me at least that, they're willing to maintain those relationships regardless of whether or not you stay here or go there or whatever the case may be. To me, that says a lot about the Lakers doing things the right way.
I think it's smart of them also to not treat, because not every organization's like this, where, all right, if you're not working for ESPN or Fox or Bleacher Report or The Athletic, then there's a good chance they won't credential you. And I think one of the things the Lakers do, no matter what, I think they view themselves as, if they're talking about us, let's get as many people talking about us as possible. Now, they're one of the most popular franchises in the world. But if you go to a game, I think that's one of the unique things that they allow. It's not just the big networks that are there. And this is a franchise that can very easily just say, yeah, no, it's just the big networks and nothing. We're the Lakers.
Right.
They don't do that. And I actually think that's brilliant from their perspective, because if you can have, the game is not just LA. The Lakers is not just Southern California. I do something when I do my shows. When I do the Lakers post game, I'll not all the time, but I'll do something called roll call. And roll call is, tell me where you're tuning in from.
Right.
Not just the city, not just the state, the country. Where are you tuning in from? Laker fans are everywhere. I don't think you build that unless you're also, there's a little bit of, we are open for business for anybody. And we want you to kind of experience what that, what the product is and everything else. And I think the Lakers have done a good job doing that.
Very good. All right. We're going to move into the next section or segment of the podcast called Overrated, Underrated.
Okay.
This is where I will throw out various topics, and I need you to tell me first whether it's overrated or underrated, and then a brief explanation why.
Got it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ranch dressing.
Overrated. When I was a kid, I dipped everything in ranch. Wings, pizza, you know? I don't know. As I got older, I'm like, yeah, I don't need ranch anymore. If I gotta put the food I'm eating and douse it in ranch, there's probably something wrong with the food. Maybe I should just eat something that actually tastes a little bit better. I go over it.
Watching a Lakers game live.
Underrated. Yeah, especially right now. There's a cool vibe right now at the arena. I know you're going to a game here pretty soon. Going to a Laker game, period, I think is a really, really unique experience. Going to a Laker game right now when you can watch Luka and LeBron, I don't know how much longer we're going to get that opportunity to do it. Very underrated.
Seeing a movie in the theater.
Underrated. I might be the only one left. I love going to movies. I really, really enjoy going to movies. I don't know what it is about just the experience. And sometimes, now they got theaters too where you can grab a beer, you can grab a glass of wine.
Right.
I get even a little better quality food or whatever the case is. But I like the idea of sitting at a movie theater, limited distractions, getting that true movie experience. I think very underrated.
Agreed. Chat GPT.
Overrated. Here's the only reason why it's overrated. I just haven't took advantage of it enough. But a lot of people have told me like, no, I use this thing, this, that. I just say overrated because I haven't used it and I hear a lot of people talking about it. Maybe that's why I'm behind in life. Maybe I got to start getting that AI going.
Surprise birthday parties.
You know what? Underrated. I'll tell you why. Some of my most memorable, I remember I had a surprise birthday party when I turned 21. My family did it for me. That might be one of the most memorable kind of moments in that era of my life. We did a surprise birthday party for one of my aunts that turned 80. That was so cool. Like the reaction on her face.
The snooze button.
I hate the snooze button. Freaking use it too much. Overrated. I wish I didn't have the option. That's the problem with the snooze button.
Yeah.
The problem is it gives me an option of 10 more minutes.
Yeah, it gives you the out.
7 more minutes, 8 more minutes. I need to not have an out, so I use it way too much.
Food delivery apps.
Overrated. Let me tell you why. I don't use food delivery apps. By the time I order it and I do all that work that comes into it, by the way, I can call them, which if you're usually ordering from a food app, I'm assuming something's 10, 12 minutes away, something like that. So not like crazy far away. By the time they come and deliver my food, it's not really hot anymore. Now I'm depending, there's like a third party that's getting into the mix in my food. I'm just gonna call and go pick it up.
Side hustles.
Underrated. Side hustles are kind of, they can be game changers. Right? You're not completely dependent on what you're doing at that time because there's other things that can help, which actually I think the side hustle will help your main hustle. Very underrated. I like that side hustle. That's a good one.
Working from home.
Underrated. Oh, I love it.
I hit the sweet spot on that one.
Yeah, I love it. There was something about when I was at ESPN, and every company is different. But during COVID, when it kind of started putting into everybody, hey, you can get a lot done from home. The thing I like most about being from home is I think it wastes a lot less time in your day. The drive, coming back. I think you get an opportunity to, I think there's a healthier lifestyle that comes with it if you take advantage of it. Hey, I could use that time. Right when I'm done with work, I'm gonna go work out or I'm gonna go do this. I could prepare healthy food. I think just mentally, there are a lot of advantages to it.
FaceTime calls.
I think overrated. I don't do them very often. Sometimes people are doing it. Here's the thing. If you're gonna do a FaceTime call, can you just kind of be in a more private area? And people walking down the grocery store. And you really haven't, do you need to have a full on, do you need to look at the person that you're...
I was at a Laker game a couple weeks ago, and a woman 2 seats away from me had her friend on FaceTime and was just broadcasting the game live. I'm like, just tell your friend to turn the TV on. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
I mean, people at the airport, this, that, like, maybe it's a quick conversation. People have full-blown conversations talking about their marriage and their kids and everything else. I'm like, we can all hear this.
And see it.
Yeah, and see it.
All right, and finally, pairing your wine with your meal.
I'd say overrated. Maybe it's because I don't know the perfect combinations. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. wine, some cheese, some crackers. That's a great mix. Can't have wine with just another meal that I'm having. Like, it doesn't have to be the perfect fit there. I like my wine.
And that has been Overrated, Underrated. Nice job, Allen.
It's good questions. I like that.
Listen, we aim to please, you know. This is where you come to get the hard hitting.
Yeah. Definitely hard hitting.
All right. I want to get back to some of your professional pursuits and get into it a little bit more before we close out the podcast today. You know, we talked about, you know, since beginning of October, you've been doing your thing on your grind with the daily show, the Sliwa show on your YouTube channel, Hoops Talk. And then you do the live Lakers post game after every game. If you're thinking about just the overall, you know, goals of the channel, what do you hope to accomplish with the channel over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months?
I think production value means a lot to me. And I think that's going to be the next, there's going to be a couple, I think, big jumps for the channel that I'm going to be working on. One of those would be having somebody in the background for the entire show. Every show that I'm doing, just having somebody in the background. And while I'm talking about, you know, the Lakers and the Nuggets, let somebody be weaving in, could be some highlights between the two teams. It could be just some images, anything to complement what I'm doing. That, I think, from a production standpoint, I think there's a lot of potential from a production perspective. So I think that one's going to be very, very important. It's going to be a critical piece, and it's the next step. Like, sure. I think, you know, in a perfect world, would you like to have all that just handled? I didn't really look at it from that perspective. I looked at it from, let me just try this and kind of, as best as I can, make it look the way I want to look and sound the way I want it to sound. And I'll know that it will get better over time.
Sure.
I think that's one element. I think another element is some type of a partnership with a network. You know, getting it picked up by a network where I still own the channel, I still own the content, I still own everything. But I'm giving that network more content, which is right now content creation is a very important thing for a lot of different networks. But at the same time, they're just putting more eyes on the channel.
Right.
And to grow that visibility, to grow the audience, I think that's going to be another big phase that's going to be coming up for the channel. And I think those two things are the main things. Of course, you know, you want to have more partnerships that are part of the channel as well. And those are going to come. I know they're going to. But at the same time, just kind of having that proper balance of, I want to keep the channel as authentic as possible, but there's going to be ways to grow the channel that I don't want to interrupt what I'm trying to build. And I want the audience to look at it as it's something that's supporting the channel rather than taking away.
Right.
So I
incremental and cohesive growth.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really disrupt the core of what it really is.
100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then is that kind of your long-term vision for growth of the channel too? But or if you look down the road in let's say next 3 to 5 years, do you see sort of a bigger vision down the road?
Yeah, I think there's kind of rough ideas of, can I create a blueprint that can also accommodate more than just what I'm doing now? Can I recreate myself potentially for other markets and things along those lines?
Right.
I think there's a bigger vision to that. Sometimes it's blurry.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like, no, that's what it's going to be. But I think, you know, what I'm trying to build with this channel, I think is my blueprint of the model that I have in mind. And then just kind of seeing, okay, is there a way to kind of take what you have and duplicate it?
Right.
So that might be a little bit further down the road.
Got it. Having gone through what you've gone through to create your show and your channel, especially over the last 6 months or so, what's the best advice that you would give to someone starting out looking to create content on YouTube or any other platform?
Start doing it. There's a lot of people that they may not think they can do it. And the first thing that I would tell them is, okay, well, why don't you start dedicating 1 hour a day to doing it? And do it consistently. And don't care about the numbers. Who cares about the numbers? At the absolute worst, you're working on your craft. At the absolute worst, you're going to the gym every single day and you're, this is actually a great equivalent of looking at it from this perspective. You can't not go to the gym and then all of a sudden go to the gym and one day later take your shirt off and look in the mirror and say, well, what happened? But if you went to the gym 5 days a week and you did that for 3 months, you're going to see a little bit of a difference.
Right.
And then in 6 months, you can see a little bit of a difference.
So what's like for you, because, you hear content creators and influencers all the time. One that comes to mind for me that I've followed for years is Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. And one of his big things is, to your point, just do it. Content, put it out. And also he talks about what you just said, which is who cares about the numbers, right? But we know like the reality is people care about the numbers, right? And the lack of likes or the lack of views or the lack of comments is actually what holds a lot of people back from putting content out because of this self-conscious aspect of like, I don't want to put something out that's just going to totally bomb and it gets 35 views and, so what I'm trying to understand, at least from your mindset, is what is it about your mindset where you can not care about the views and just do your thing and consistently put it out, whether a video gets 30 likes or 30,000 likes?
So I think the most important thing is you like what you're putting out. Are you putting out something because you're trying to copy somebody else or you're trying, you're looking for fame? I'm just making up. Are you doing something that kind of feeds a little bit of the soul? Because if it feeds the soul, and I don't care what the topic is, you go on YouTube right now, there's people that got millions of views and hundreds of thousands of views. And it could be a handyman that's walking you through his day-to-day job. Obviously, this guy cares about what he's doing and is bringing value to people. Somebody might, search, how do I, whatever it is.
Right.
And he's offering some value there. He started one day with 3 views and 7 views and 12 views. I think, what you said about not caring about the numbers, I think what I mean more by that is if you want to do it bad enough, then do it. And if you care enough about whatever subject that you're on, I think over time, you're going to get better at what you're doing. You're going to come up with more ideas. Maybe the production of it is going to look a little bit better. Maybe you're buying a mic that you didn't have before. Like there is a just natural growth that I think will come. We are all insecure. So don't think for a second there. I'll take you back before you and I started. You said, how'd the views go today? Right?
Right.
And I mentioned to you, I'm like, and I was kind of giving you some numbers. I'm like, as around this to this. And I will not lie to you. There are plenty of moments that I'm insecure with what I'm doing. And there's a lot of times that I don't even want to look at the views because maybe I have a negative mindset on it. And by the way, that's not good. If that's how you're kind of viewing what it is that you're doing, or you get too high because the numbers were good.
Right.
I remember this, you mentioned a podcast that you listened to. Obviously one of the most popular podcasts out there, like him, hate him, doesn't matter. Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan, a beast in the industry. I remember one time, he was having an interview with somebody and he was telling that person, can't look at the comments. I was like, what do you mean you can't look at the comments? He's like, okay, if I look at a comment, he's like, forget the negative ones. Let me look at the positive ones. All right, I'm inflating my ego. It's not real. I can't look at the comments. I think there's a little bit of, and I use that as an example because I think there's a little bit of, if we're living and dying by how somebody else feels about what we're doing, that's dangerous. You don't got control over that. I don't have control over it. But it's impossible not to have an insecurity or an ego that pops up when you are putting up numbers.
Sure.
I think either one are dangerous.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Well, that's good advice, though. I mean, it really boils down to, obviously, the whole industry of content creation, in part from a financial and success perspective, in part does get driven by how many eyeballs are on it,
sure,
how much it's being consumed, the virality of any particular piece of content, et cetera. But your point is that's like sort of the outcome versus, it shouldn't be the core reason why someone's doing it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The content that catches fire and goes viral and stuff like that is from the content creators that are creating content based on their life passion, something they're passionate about, something they've been creating content on for any number of months or years or whatever. And the views and the likes and and all that stuff becomes the byproduct of it, but it shouldn't be the core driver of why you're creating the content in the first place. Is that fair?
Yeah. It's almost like, if we take it out of the social space for a quick second, if you start a job somewhere and on your first day of the job, you're looking at other people who've been doing the job for years and you're saying, well, why aren't I making that money? Hey, you just started. You can work your way towards that. It's going to take a second. If you're in a sales position, or if you're you can't walk into an office or a business and you're saying to yourself, well, what's the CEO making? Oh, that's BS. I should be making that.
It's like a law school, brand new attorney, law school grad walking into my law firm and looking around and going, why can't I run a law firm?
Sure. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have aspirations to one day do that.
No,
for
sure.
But there is a process,
yeah,
right?
There's 20 years that was put in to get to where it's at. So to your point, the results come through consistency, dedication, incremental growth. Nothing happens overnight.
And listen, and here's the other kind of reality. There's no guarantee that it's going to work out. You also got to accept that too. There's a lot of people that start their own business. I'm not talking about social media.
Right.
I don't care what it is. I don't care if you own a restaurant, whatever. There's a lot of them that it didn't pan out for whatever reason.
Sure.
Take what you learned from there and move on. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that are behind mics, or they want to be in the social space, or they see somebody else doing it and say, oh my gosh, how easy is that? Hey, this guy just travels around the world and eats and gets millions of views. I'm watching all those, right? I'm sure there's a lot more that comes into it. I'm sure for every successful one there's probably 50 that failed.
Right.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but at least if you can at least, I really do believe this, if you can at least find something that is a little bit more niche to you and that you're genuinely interested in, I think you got a better chance of succeeding.
Very good. Well, that kind of dovetails into, the last part of what I wanted to ask you about, which is just kind of your overall recipe for success in your professional journey. If you had to kind of boil it down and slap it on a bumper sticker with a slogan, what would your recipe for professional success be boiled down to on a bumper sticker?
It's not going to come off the right way, but I'll explain it. Be greedy. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Greed in the sense of find something that you actually want to do, and then find a way to at least be in the building where that exists. I'm going to give you an example. Be greedy. What I mean by that is be greedy to yourself. Don't settle for something that I don't really want. I'm not sure if I want. If you know what it is that really, really would be something that brings joy to your life in some capacity, brings fulfillment in some capacity, then why should you not go after that? It's kind of funny, but
don't settle.
Yeah. I think that's probably a better way of putting it. But I think sometimes we try to find, I always wanted to be behind a microphone, always. But to get to 710 ESPN and kind of that journey, I was like, well, why don't I just get in the building? And I know the Lakers are on, I know they're getting the Lakers radio broadcast. They were just getting them. If I'm in the building, I'm in the building. Like it's much easier to navigate when you're in the building than when you're on the outside looking in. I think there was a little bit of, I think if there's a way that you can, I'm going to give a bad example here, but if I want to be a head chef, I should be working at a restaurant. And let me get into the restaurant. I don't care what my role is there.
Yeah, I don't care if I start out bussing tables
Doesn't matter.
or running food.
I'm in the building.
Yeah.
Right? So
then all of a sudden the assistant chef goes down with COVID and this one's, sick and this one, and they look around and they go, "Hey, Allen, can you chop onions?" And then you're in.
Literally, I think that's probably the best way to put it. It's if you were greedy in the sense of this is what I want, what I'm looking for, what will drive me, what will wake me up in the morning. And then how you get there does not have to be the same path as everybody else. It just doesn't. I mean, I got, even though I have a journalism degree, my path is, if the goal is to get here, you can go down this one road that everybody's going down. Or maybe you got to go left and then you had to go right and then you had to do a U-turn and this and that. I'm still trying to get to the same place. And that was, your path doesn't have to look like everybody else's path.
Right.
How you get there.
Awesome. All right. Well, just again, really appreciate you coming into studio today. You're officially our first non-legal industry guest on the show.
Yeah.
So you've helped us to branch out on our podcast. Again, our firm, the Wallace firm, is a proud partner of the Sliwa Show on Allen's YouTube channel, Hoops Talk. Check them out every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 a.m. live, as well as live every Lakers postgame for a postgame show. Subscribe to his channel and wish you the best of luck in the future, Allen.
And I will say this as well. You don't know this, but I don't think you realize how much friendship/partnership impacts what I'm doing. So you should know that. And I know you're busy running your own firm and you got, obviously X amount of employees and everything else that comes with it. But part of my vision, what I have when I gave you what that 6 to 12 month plan looks like, that 3 to 5 year plan, a lot of that stuff I don't think can happen unless I have friendships and partnerships like yourself. So I'm very appreciative of you as well. And, my hope is that I roll up my sleeves and make sure that you're comfortable with what the channel is doing, but you should know that you have a lot to do with the growth of the channel and the vision of the channel. So I want you to know that.
Appreciate that, man. It's been great to watch your journey, and we're really looking forward to see the heights that you take it. And it's going to be great to be along with you on the journey.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. This has been the WallaceWins.com podcast. Our guest in studio, Allen Sliwa. Stay tuned. Please like and subscribe to our channel as well. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, everybody.
Get your win at WallaceWins.com.